Hello. I need to find an intro for these, but welcome back. Um, for today, I have no real plan for what I'm about to say, but there's some thoughts I've been having, like the past 2 or 3 days that I just want to try and put out there. It's very difficult and complicated to do so, but it's been eating me up. So I just want to find an outlet in a way to kind of let it all out. Um, so I was talking with a friend, and they were telling me that you know, oh, you're like this because you listen to sad music all the time, or you watch sad movies or old movies all the time. And it got me thinking that, you know, putting, you know how they say that if you eat junk food, you know, you ruin yourself, you create bad habits and all of that. Something as innocent as art, which isn't really innocent, can also have those effects on you. And our bodies and the entire human form, I think, is a form of art because I mean the whole of life and like the entire world is a work of art. But what I'm getting at is that we tend to focus a lot on, you know, what we physically do to ourselves. And, you know, mentally we might say, I don't want to do this thing because I don't like it, so I feel better. But it's also not, you know, a way out. Um, because, for example, we're kind of a slave to the things we like, and the things we like might be ruining us. The same way that if you smoke a cigarette, you'll die quicker, you'll get cancer, I don't know what else. Um, it's the same with example for music. The like I was just listening to a great album. Oh, it's here. It's Stadium Arcadium by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Um, there's a lot of songs in there that are quite sad or melancholic. I wouldn't really say sad. Um, and you know, I haven't stopped listening to this album for the past maybe 4 or 5 days, and my mood kind of reflects that. um, and it makes me think that, you know, we tend to think of ways to make ourselves happier or healthier, but we don't actually know what those things are, or we're not ready to realize what those things are, and we aren't ready to make an effort to fix all these things, to, let's say, me stop listening to this album or this type of music in general. um yeah, it's just a weird thing because we always think that we're influenced by people or by situations, but we don't stop and think, are the things that I like really something positive? Am I feel like I'm saying nothing right now, but it's just about thinking whether um, what you like is what you truly like, also in a sense. Um, because I can't put it well into words. As I said in the beginning of the video, this is very complicated, so I don't know the quality of this video, like how it's gonna turn out or how long it's gonna be. But for example, I don't know what more examples I can give. It's just we ruin ourselves while thinking that we're doing good. And this also goes back to, let's say, my other two videos as well. For love, I said everyone seeks to find perfection in another person. They say, I won't settle for anyone. But then they never are happy with someone who could be great for them, or they just can never appreciate anyone, and they might never find love, or who knows what. And then also, when we try to fit in, we lose ourselves in that because we think, oh, I'm happy because I'm friends with people and these guys like me and these guys, I don't know. Yeah, I think you get what I'm trying to say, or at least I hope so. Oh my gosh. Um, yeah, but it's also just, you know, we don't really pay attention to our psyche. I was not listening. I was reading this book by Carl Jung. It's called Man and His Symbols, and it's about the interpretation of dreams. Not really something that's, related to our topic, but it talks a lot about our psyche and our unconscious mind. And I think that, all of these things that we consume and we think that we like them and, we pursue, they stick into our unconscious mind and they eat us up the whole time we're awake without us realizing it. They're the things that hold us back. Because you might say you're, holding yourself back because you have low self-esteem, or there's people who don't allow you to grow. But I think it's more about that. You're kind of learning to be in a position where you can't do those things. It's not necessarily low self-esteem, but it's you telling yourself you're no better than that. That's not low self-esteem. That's you romanticizing your likings. For example, because yes, this time I am actually going to use a good example. Like me listening to this album, there's some songs about, love and stuff. Their whole discography has some pieces like that, like some songs about, not being sad, but being in a difficult position. And because I like listening to their songs and I appreciate their music a lot, I feel like I'm romanticizing those scenarios in my head. In my unconscious self is romanticizing those things. And so I'm putting myself down from it. Is that making any sense? I hope so, because I honestly feel like I kind of cracked it with this one. So yeah, I think that when you like something, you tend to romanticize it in your head. And when you romanticize a situation that isn't happy, that is difficult, that is sad, your unconscious self kind of seeks a life where you live in that way. Because it thinks that since you like listening about those things and you have a good time, or just enjoy that, it tries and seek a future for you where your life is like that. Because I think that our unconscious self and our conscious self, they both work very differently. They each live their own lives. But at the same time, because they're both you get stuck in the middle, and it creates these scenarios. In general, I think that as I said, like the human mind and humans are an art form. Even if you see, let's say, the stupidest guy you can find, there's always something about people which you have to dig to find. Because, like, let's say young high schoolers, especially here, they're all pretty dumb, let me tell you. Yeah, exactly them actually, because they're the ones who only listen to trap music. I'm not even gonna say rap music because that's way better than trap music, where it's people romanticizing themselves, killing people, or having sex with countless women, doing drugs, selling drugs, every crime under the sun, you name it. Because their unconscious mind has romanticized that for them, they seek that life. They're a perfect example of it. Don't look at myself, you don't know who I am. Look at them. Don't go to your local school. Look at the kids. No, okay. Um, when you're out in the park, just look at how they behave. That those things have created who we are. But that's not who we actually are, because that's just something our unconscious self tries and makes us believe we want to be. There we go. Now I think I'm making sense. Hopefully. Um, so, yeah, this was mostly about that. And, it just also goes to show for the limitless power that exists in this world. Because music isn't just, powerful as, oh, it makes you, feel something, or it makes you, I don't know. Look at what it can actually have you do. It shapes your life without you realizing it. And music is just one example. I have books that have shaped me in some way. And again, in the same manner as I said with music, my unconscious mind romanticizes something and I go towards that. Evidently, I don't read two different authors. Okay, people are gonna hate me. I only read Murakami at this stage of my life. I have read most of his works. And if you know Murakami, A, you probably hate me now, and B, you know that his stories tend to be not depressing per se, but they're anxiety inducing, and it's just people going through a really tough time. Why I like those stories? I like storytelling. I don't know. I don't know why we tend to like these things. Sometimes it works the other way around in what I've said. Like, our unconscious mind likes those things because it reminds it of our current situation. That's also true. But yeah, what I initially wanted to say is we have to be more careful of the things we consume, not because of their quality, but because of how our unconscious self might take them. Gosh, I don't know if I'm making too much sense today, but it's something that I really, was thinking about. And, maybe someone agrees out there. Maybe, people have genuinely escaped insane asylums and they watch this channel. Who knows? But yeah, humans are just so interesting. It really gets you to think. And obviously, it's not the same for everyone. I think that should be said. Every human's different. And, different mentalities, different strengths, different weaknesses, whatever. Just, I don't know. I love observing people and trying to analyze these sort of situations. I've said situations a lot, but yeah. I think that's that for today. I will be back with a more structural topic than this, but it's just really been in my mind. Closing thoughts. Listen to Maggot Brain. I think if you like this video, because I think it kind of encapsulates what I'm talking about. I just had this thought. Listen to Maggot Brain. Um, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I don't know when it's gonna be, as usual. Um, yeah, that's that.